It's time now for Real Estate Update. With Usha Chandra of GlobeNet Realty, real estate is our world.
Now we're standing here face to
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this very exciting segment of the weekly real estate update with Usha Chandra. Well, welcome to the show, Usha.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Umesh, and Australian Indian Radio.
Well, let's begin by first wishing you once again a very, very happy birthday. And I know you had quite a few celebrations yesterday.
Thank you so much.
And moving on, let's get right into the show because we've got quite a few things to talk about. But hey, the thing that's everyone talking about at the moment is the RBA and its lifting of the interest rates. So what does it look like?
Yes, looking at the interest rate is another 50 basis points with more likely hikes to come. As widely expected, the Reserve Bank of Australia lifted interest rates by another 50 basis points. The fourth rate hike as in many months. The decision takes the cash rate from an emergency low of 0.1% to 1.85%. So that's quite a large hike. Since commencing the tightening of the cycle on 5th May 2022, the cash rate has risen by 175 basis points. But despite the rapid hike, the cash rate remains well below the pre-COVID decade average of 2.56%. Clearly, RBA is first and foremost in inflation fighting mode. And this probably prepared to look through the perennial weakness in housing demand or temporary slowdown in economic activities and looser labor markets as cash rate approaches a contradictory setting later this year. In fact, lower house prices, higher mortgage repayments may help to contain inflation through the wealth effects and limiting household consumption as well. So it's not the best news, but it's gone up by 50% basis points, and as they say, it will hike more in the coming months.
Well, of course, it is predicted because clearly, as you have mentioned, that RBA on the foremost is trying to look at controlling the inflation. So even if there's a small, reduction in the house prices or there's a slow turn down in that, but overall aim and goal of RBA is to control the inflation and so that the household consumption and other things could be controlled. Hey, come on, Usha, it can't be all this doom and gloom and bad news. Is there any good news?
Yes, absolutely. There's good news. The good news is RBA believes inflation will approach a peak towards the end of the year, implying the cash rate should stabilize as inflation reduces back to 2.3%. Potentially, the cash rate could retrace some of the hikes through the second half of the next year. In fact, this is the trajectory that financial markets are now pricing in, with the ASIC's cash rate features indicating a peak in cash rate at 3.32% by March next year, followed by an easing back to 2.99% by the end of 2023. So that's the good news there. Today's hike rate, which is likely to follow through the entirely to variable mortgage rates within a matter of days, paints a weaker picture for the housing sector. Higher interest rates have already had an immediate downside impact on the housing values, with CoreLogic's combined capital city index peaking shortly after the first rate hike in May. Since that time, dwelling values across the combined capital cities index are down 2.8%. 1st August after rising 25.5% through the recent upswing. So there's some good news. I mean, there's always good news. Where there's bad news comes good news later on.
Well, of course, looking at the future, which is looking that it will peak and probably that's where it will sort of plateau. But it could not remain at that historic low that it was. Well, of course, we know all of this has an effect on the overall values of the houses and the dwelling sector, as we know that there has been a downturn. So could you give us a sort of a breakdown into the what this downturn has been in the dwelling, as you mentioned that, is following those trends. So let's look at the monthly one, and as we know that the last month has been terrible. So let's take a look at month, quarter, and annual return, and what this downturn means.
Yes, let's have a quick look at Sydney, down by 2.2%, and quarter was down by 4.7%, and annual was 1.6%. Total returns was 3.4%. That's good news. And medium house values 1,087,000. Melbourne is down by minus 1.5%. Quarter was minus 3.2%, and annual was 0.3%. And the total returns was 3.2%, and median price is 781,000. Look at Brisbane, minus 8.8% actually, and it was 1% in the quarter and 22.1%, which was really good. Total returns is 26.4%. Looking at comparing Sydney and Melbourne Sydney and Melbourne, and looking at Brisbane, look at the market there. Our price is not too far from Melbourne, 781 compared to Melbourne's 791. So looking at Adelaide, 0.4%, quarter was 3.6%, very good there, 24.1%, and total returns is 28.3%, and 650 is their median price. Perth is 0.2%. 1.2% was the quarter change, and the dwelling was 5.5%, and 10% was the total return, and their price is 560. Hobart is minus.
So there were, ladies and gentlemen, the weekly update. But as I mentioned today we'll also be looking at another real estate, which is the Golden Key Realty, and the close collaboration, and see what are they doing, how are they different, and what is the market and the trade area. With that, let's welcome Ron. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this very exciting segment on the show on Australian Indian Radio. And today with us in the studio, we have from Golden Key Realty, Ron Baker. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me in the show today.
It's wonderful to have you here on the show. Well, today we'll be talking about real estate, and we'll talk about your community involvements as well. It's quite exciting. So could you please just tell us a little bit about Golden Key Realty? So how did it come about? How did this eventuate?
Look, I have been in the real estate agency for quite a number of years now, and basically the idea came about when COVID hit, and I wanted to really make a difference, and for me as a real estate agent, it goes further than just about your commission trying to sell the property, but it's more connecting and trying to understand what your client's situation is, and what their situation is, and really what they're after, whether it's selling because they are going to be downsizing, or they're trying to build an investment portfolio, or raising a new family, and things like that. So look, at Golden Key, we've got a motto: it's all about you, and that means it goes both ways, the seller and the buyer. It's all about you, the client.
And what a wonderful way to be, that it's all about you. So, that sort of leads us into our second question, which is there are real estate agents, and then there are real estate agents. So what makes Golden Key Realty unique?
Look, we are sort of very diverse in terms of things that we do focus on. So we don't just do resales, we do sell brand new apartments all across Australia. We work in development sites as well. We do commercial sales. So we're basically all around, and having that all round understanding allows you to be able to connect with your client really and understand what their situation may be.
And very well put there, Ron, I must say. So, taking all of those in account, being diverse and everything like that. So, what sort of trade area does that make you in today's evolving day and days of technology and everything? So, is there any limitation to your trade area, or what is your trade area?
Look, not so much. There's really no limitations because the sky is the limit when it comes to real estate. But it's more having a broad understanding so you can really share your experience and educate every client that you're dealing with. So whether it's selling their property and trying to maximize the selling outcome, it's basically going into the finer details on how it's all going to be presented in terms of marketing and how we're going to target certain buyers, and obviously using all the technology that's available to you presently, such as social media, Instagram, Facebook, not just focusing on realestate.com when it comes to, doing resales for properties, but when it comes to also somebody who's building their portfolio, understanding their current situation on exactly what they want to achieve, whether they are just land banking or they are buying it for tax purposes, or it's because they've got a lot of super fund left over that they want to spend and invest into buying something that is positively geared. Everyone's situation is very different, and that's why it's good to have a very broad understanding of everything when it comes to real estate rather than just focusing on just one field.
And the diversification is great because that gives you the opportunity to serve the broader community, which is amazing. And as you have just rightfully mentioned, that in this today's day and age with technology and everything, so the whole globe, the whole world is basically your market. Now, so one of the things that opening up to a global market, there would be challenges as well because, as we know, Australia has quite a lot of rules and regulations and things like that. So how do you manage that?
Look, we are global at the moment in terms of just opening up in Taiwan. We're opening up in the Philippines, and we're setting up in India as well, in terms of encouraging foreign investors to basically have an opportunity to be able to own something and invest in Australia and take advantage of the amazing market that we've got over here, but also understanding the benefits of it when it comes to migration and many other things to take into consideration.
So, it is wonderful to see that, we are opening up to the global market as well. And of course, there are some rules and regulations and conditions to be met, which is okay, and we do that. So looking at locally, because there are many things that happen right here as well. So real estate market is always changing, and there are many factors that drive that change. Given the current uncertainty about interest rate, how has that affected your market?
Look, I don't really see it as affecting the market so much from my end. Now, if you do watch a lot of news, you'll hear they are predicting a big drop. In New South Wales especially, apparently it's happening at the moment, but I'm sort of not seeing that at the present market at the moment. And I think we've been very spoilt in the last couple of years. If you actually have a look at how much the interest rates were compared to how much they were 10 and 15 years ago. And at the end of the day, the market's always going up. And that's just how I see it when it comes to real estate.
And quite nicely put there, Ron. I remember the days when we first came here, 17, 18% interest rate, and the property values were, what they were at those days. But even then, the affordability factor, when people looked at those properties, it's very dear. And now people don't twitch about paying, 4 or 5 times that amount for a similar house. So you have just hit the nail on the head there, that property, despite everything, continues. If you look over a period of time, it's always going up. And it is always gone up. So we have seen that Golden Key Realty supports many community events. In particular, I'm talking about India Day Fair. So tell us about your involvement and how you were supporting that event.
Look, we like to just support the local community out there. We do support quite a lot of charities and events, and we see this as a great opportunity to basically go out there and just educate people, show them what we've got, and basically help them with their current situation, whatever it may be, whether it comes to them having to refinance, build their portfolio, or just get a better understanding on what sort of portfolio, what they're trying to build.
And that is so great because, Australia is quite diverse in its own nature. And of course, the cultural diversity and the cohesion between all communities. This is a unique and a very good shining example of that in action when we communities support each other and in this manner. So Ron, before we let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to add in conclusion?
Look, not much really, but other than real estate's always been a good business, regardless what situation we're on. Real estate's always doing very, very well. And I mean, who would have predicted when we had COVID? When COVID hit, everything almost came to a complete stop. And I guess I saw online that some people just wanted to get out of their mortgage, sell their houses because they thought it was going to be the end of the world or whatever it may be. Some people went into some panic selling and all sorts of things. But what I did is I built my company and I took that opportunity to be able to actually grow. And who would have thought, because all the banks were predicting a big drop in pricing, that was from Commonwealth, from Westpac, but at the end of the day, it was the big boom, and that's when it all started. And it's just a lot of the times we can't predict this, but that's why I'm saying property is always a good investment.
It always is, and as you have rightfully mentioned, that about mid of last year when it really peaked. Despite all the panics and all the media and everything coming in about that, so that was wonderful. Now, Ron, just one more thing is looking at Golden Key Realty. If people like to reach out or have any interaction with the company, how do they find you?
Please come and check out our website, www.goldenkeyrealty.com.au. Drop us a message anytime, or feel free to give our head office a call or give myself a call, and we'll be there to assist you. We do have agents all across Australia, and we service the whole Brisbane as well.
Thank you very much for that. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Ron Baker from Golden Key Real Estate, proudly supporting India Day Fair as platinum sponsors for the show. And we from Gopia, Queensland, and would like to really thank you for your generous support. And this is a shining example of the communities coming together. So once again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Umesh. Thank you for having me.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, and it is wonderful to see that kind of support. And so until next week, it would be goodbye from us from this segment.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established Trusted and respected agency in its trade area, Usha Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.